Hi, my name is Nur Husna Maisarah binti Muhammad Syam. So, based on the infographic, I have prepared and will be presenting about the time value of money. So, time value of money is the fact that a dollar in the hand today is worth than dollar to be received in the future. It is because when you have a dollar now, you could invest and earn interest. This is for recognize the real money values and evaluate whether the return are higher than the cost of investment. Future value is accumulation of funds to some date in future. The investment will grow the amount based on the interest we earn. However, the amount of growth will depend on the compound rate of return earned of the investment and the amount of time. The diagram shows the relationship and the concept of growth where money will increase every year. Starting from 0% interest at the beginning, 10% in the first year, and 20% interest in the second year. It shows that the longer the period is higher the value. The present value is considered as the most powerful tool in dealing with investment decisions such as investment in fixed asset, portfolio management, banking, and others. There is a process that we can use for present value, which is discounting. Discounting is a process to determine the present value that will be received in the future. Based on the diagram, the process shows when the discount rate and time increase, the present value will decrease. That means future value interest factor can transform into present value interest. So next is multiple cash flow. This is happen when we save different amount of money each year. It is to keep track of multiple payment involved. Example for future value of multiple cash flow, let's say you plan to deposit some money in the saving account and there is 6% interest over the 3 years. So first, you will deposit 100 ringgit at the end of year 1, 300 ringgit at the end of year 2, and 350 ringgit at the end of year 3. As you can see, there is no interest received for the amount deposit in year 3. So for annuities, there are two types of annuity payment, which are ordinary annuity and annuity due. Annuity ordinary refer to the cash flow that occur at the end of the period, like 31 December. Meanwhile, annuity due refers to the cash flow occur at the beginning of the period, such as first day in January. Let's start with ordinary annuity for the future value. If you offer payment of 500 ringgit per year for 3 years with 7% interest, it shows that the future value at year 3 equal to 1,607. Same method also can be used to compute the present value of an ordinary and other annuity problem. So the last one is about different compounding period. Up to now, we have assumed interest is compounded once a year, but in real life, bank can compound semi-annually, quarterly, monthly, and daily. So, what changed when we have multiple compounding period? There is two things, which are the interest rate per period and the number of period. For example, we have 1,000 deposit for 2 years with 12% nominal rates. If you compound it annually, rate still 12% with period is 2. Meanwhile, if you compound it semi-annually, the rate must divide it 2, which is 6% per half year, and the period is 4. For quarterly, 12 will divide it with 4 and become 3% per quarter and get 8 for period. So you can see as increases, the rate per period gets smaller, but the number of period get higher. So the working capital management involves daily decision regarding investment and how the asset to be financed. The objective of managing working capital is to achieve risk-return trade-off that maximize the value of the firm. So, there are 3 basic of policy that the company can adopt, which are relaxed, restrict, and moderate policy. Relaxed policy is a low-risk policy. It maintains large amount of current asset with liberal credit policy. It also has higher liquidity and low return from investment due to low productivity of current asset. Meanwhile, restricted policy is a higher risk policy, whereby it reduces current asset with stringent credit policy. Lower investment in current asset enables the firm to increase investment in other productive investment, and thus will result in higher return. And the last one is moderate policy. This is the middle road policy in between relaxed and restricted policy. This policy also results in moderate risk and return. Working capital strategy. Working capital strategy ranges from the aggressive to the conservative approach, where it will be produce different level of profitability and risk exposure. There is some level of current asset that will be varying with the business circle of the firm, which are permanent asset and temporary asset. Permanent asset refer to all fixed and current asset that need to hold by the firm at the all time regardless of the firm's sales level. Meanwhile, the temporary asset refer to the part of the current asset that will change directly with changing in sales level. It is the additional current asset that require increasing the sale. So the working capital strategy will show the method of financing this asset. Let's start with hedging approach. Based on the graph, hedging approach match the financing maturity asset and liability, where the firm use temporary financing to finance temporary current asset and permanent financing. So the firm would finance fixed and permanent current asset with long-term debt, while the fluctuating current asset to be financed with short-term debt. For the result, this approach no need for emergency fund and has a moderate risk and return. Meanwhile, the aggressive approach is more risky as it partly matches the maturity of asset and liability. As you can see, the graph shows that this approach uses short-term and temporary financing to support a relative large portion of current asset. For the result, it's obvious that this approach has a more risky. However, short-term debt is cheaper than long-term debt, so many firms is willing to sacrifice safety for possibly higher profit. And the last one is conservative approach. Conservative approach has the lower risk. It is because the firm use long-term financing for the majority of its asset. As we can see, the firm support fixed permanent current asset and average temporary current asset with long-term financing. So, from all of this approach, maintaining an appropriate level of liquidity or safety margin depends on profitability, liquidity of the asset, stability of cash flow, management attitude toward risk, and expected future interest rates. So that's all from me. Thank you.